Long story short, Pharmulous turned around and were like, no we don't even need to give you a refund. A lot of back and forth, a lot of quoting the Consumer Rights Act. Didn't really get me anywhere. But I had a sort of paper trail, if you will. Well, it was obviously online, but paper trail, if you will. Honestly, I was there quoting the Consumer Rights Act, which I'd never heard of prior to this, but I got to know it inside and out. Oh my God. Like, you know when everyone around you, house, husband, kids, mortgage, and I'm there like, oh my God. And it hits you, it grabs you, and then you start thinking about how many eggs you've got left and that they're dying, and you start looking around and everyone's got wedding rings on. Hey guys, I am Amy May and I have been on Mounjaro for 772 days, which I believe is 110 weeks in 2 days. So since the 4th of April 2024. And today is part 2 in the ongoing Q&A series where I answer questions that you guys have given me. It's going to be an ongoing series, so if you do have any questions, then feel free to sort of drop them in the comments and I'll answer them in the next Q&A video. Shall we start with a few Mounjaro Muppets and then maybe end with a few Muppets? Just to break things up a bit before we dive into the actual questions from my lovely supportive community. This one felt a bit unnecessary. Creatine versus creatinine. Are you sure you're a doctor? Basically, this comes from, I've recently started creatine powder, unflavoured, in my coffee from Nutrition Geeks. I think I got it from Nutrition Geeks. Non-medical people won't care about this, but basically, as part of the sort of kidney function tests, there's something called creatinine, right? And I've never been into supplements before, so when I first read creatine, I read creatinine, right? And I know, very boring, very not actually worth me mentioning, but are you sure you're a doctor? I'm beginning to question it now. I'm beginning to second guess myself now you've said that. I don't know, am I? So basically, pharma will be milking you indefinitely. Yes. Lazy person's easy way out. Yes. I am exceptionally lazy and I found this process very, very easy. Unless you're a Mounjaro Muppet and part of that segment, then I'll crop everybody's names out in case you don't want your name showing. If you haven't seen the first part and you'd like to, then I'll put a link on screen and in the description below. I'm filming this Saturday and I'm hopefully going to have it edited and uploaded for Saturday night because I'm working 8:30 till 9:30 tomorrow. And I don't mean 1 hour. First question, I know a lot of people wonder this. When your BMI drops below 30, can you still get it prescribed independently or from a sort of private pharmacy? The short answer is yes, but if you are someone that's just starting your journey, I'd make sure you do your research on whatever company you choose, because obviously I started in April 2024, and even though the MHRA sort of approved it for weight loss in the UK in November 2023, I don't think it was until February 2024 when people could actually start buying it privately in the UK. And so when I first started, there wasn't a lot of people in the UK on it. And also because it was fresh, because it was a sort of new thing in the UK, a lot of providers were very sort of cagey about maintenance. And for a lot of providers, their stance was as soon as you reach a healthy BMI, they'll cut you off. Maintenance wasn't really a recognised thing back then. Obviously, I think Eli Lilly, I think there was some guidance saying, you know, maintenance is all right, like it's calm, you can do it. But obviously, because it was new to the UK, I think they were being cautious. And a lot of prescribers, the vast majority back then, once you hit a healthy BMI, they wouldn't let you continue and they just cut you off. To my knowledge, most providers now do allow you to stay on once you reach a healthy BMI. And I'd have thought a BMI below 30 would be okay, but you need to do your research, because what you don't want to happen is, you know, you sort of reach a healthy BMI, you reach maintenance, and then boom, you just cut off entirely. Do you use the same provider now you're in maintenance, and have you ever switched providers? Yes. So when I first started, I used Boots. While I was doing my research, obviously because it was such a new thing, and because it's a scary concept anyway, I was just sort of going out on a limb. I chose Boots because it was a known name, if that makes sense. It was a reputable pharmacy. I'd not heard any scandals about them, and so that's why I went for Boots initially. And I just used to sort of like click and collect, and you go and you go to Boots and collect it, which I was very embarrassed about. I remember the first time I went, I was mortified. I was like all nervous and everything.
So today is day one. I've just picked up the Mounjaro from Boots, and to be honest, I kind of felt like everyone was staring at me, even though they obviously weren't. But I think I was a bit embarrassed. But at the same time, do you know what I mean? Like, do what works for you.
At one point, because Boots is on the more expensive side, I'd have to have a look how much they're charging now, because obviously September last year all the prices increased. I did switch to Bolt Pharmacy. I can't really remember exactly when in my journey that was. I think it was before I reached maintenance, and then I switched again to Pharmulous. But if you've seen my video, I'll put a link to it in the description. Basically, in August last year, before the price increase, there was a bit of, not scandal, a bit of sort of, not a disagreement. They did me dirty, essentially. They did me dirty, because basically what happened was I'd ordered a new pen in August before the price increase, so at the original lower price. And because obviously I was at work a lot, I asked for it to get delivered to the Royal Mail post office, which I'd done numerous times before with no issues. And then for some unbeknownst reason, I get a notification saying the post office has refused to accept it, so it's going to get sent back to the sender. And I'm like, well, that's odd, because they've never refused to accept it before. But I had a sort of paper trail, if you will. Well, it was obviously online, but paper trail, if you will. And I showed this to Pharmulous because I could prove that I'd never received that pen. It had never even been in my postcode. Do you know what I mean? So I could prove that, and I sent it to Pharmulous and I was like, listen, you know, I've not received the pen. And basically Pharmulous has an agreement with Royal Mail whereby if it gets lost in the post or if it's Royal Mail's fault, then Royal Mail reimburses Pharmulous. So Pharmulous weren't losing any money from this, and I could prove that I didn't have the pen. Sorry, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent. I'm going to try and make this as quick as possible. I could prove I didn't have the pen. So initially, Pharmulous were basically refusing to even give me a refund. And I was like, honestly, I was there quoting the Consumer Rights Act, which I'd never heard of prior to this, but I got to know it inside and out. I was there quoting the Consumer Rights Act of whatever year it was. I want to say 2015, but who knows, right? Literally like quoting saying, actually, because I didn't realise this, but actually, you know, I didn't receive what I paid for, and apparently under the Consumer Rights Act you need to send me a replacement pen. Obviously I said it all politely, like I wasn't being aggressive. It was like, please, and you know, trying to type out really posh emails. Long story short, Pharmulous turned around and were like, no we don't even need to give you a refund. A lot of back and forth, a lot of quoting the Consumer Rights Act. Didn't really get me anywhere, and then eventually they agreed to give me a refund but refused to replace the pen, and then turned around and said, well, if you want a new pen you'll have to buy another one at the new higher price, even though I'd placed my order weeks before and they hadn't actually fulfilled my order. So that was that. Obviously, you know, quoting the Consumer Rights Act didn't actually get me anywhere, and I did message their sort of prescriber, Dr. Mel. She's a GP on TikTok, and she just started ignoring my messages. Whereas before, like, I think on TikTok before, I'd sort of messaged her or liked some of her posts or commented, and, you know, we seemed to have a friendly dynamic. But I suppose when there's money involved, it's never friendly, is it? I had to chase it up with that as well. I'm sure they just stopped replying to my emails at one point. So I had to do all the as per my last email that you didn't reply to 2 weeks ago. Anyway, I'd like to be able to stand on business and be like, oh, you know, I'm not buying from you anymore. Because I was literally, for free, unpaid promotion, I was preaching Pharmulous to everybody, being like, oh, it's really good, I've not had a bad experience, they're really good, I would recommend. Unpaid promotion, because I genuinely thought they were good. And then they went and did me dirty like that. And I would like to stand on business and be like, well, I'm not buying from you again. But because I'm in maintenance now, obviously some suppliers get funny and some providers do get funny about it. So long story short, I'm still with Pharmulous. Have you made any new friends out of this journey, or have you felt that your established friendships have changed? To be fair, actually, I think I know like at least 2-3 people in real life who are also on it. I only found that out sort of recently. Have I made new friends? Well, I remember when I was at work not that long ago, somebody mentioned being on Mounjaro, and I was like, oh, I'm on Mounjaro too. And I remember another colleague who wasn't on it was surprised. They were like, but because they didn't know me when I used to be fat or obese. I was in maintenance when I started that job. And so it is nice to be able to talk to people about it, because I remember when I first started, it wasn't like a dirty secret, but at the same time it was, because obviously I was on my YouTube channel sharing my experience, but I only told a select few people in my sort of real life, quote unquote, that I was on it, because I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed because all the stigma surrounding it, and also it's no one's business. At the end of the day, you know, it's between me and my doctor. It's nothing to do with anyone else. But it is nice. I have found this YouTube community very supportive, and there are some other creators that I watch and they just seem really nice and down to earth. And it's nice to be able to speak to people who are also on it in the comments or whatever, who say they can relate to my experiences. And I don't want to say they find my videos helpful, because I don't, you know, I'm not out here trying to sort of tell anyone what to do or give advice, but it is nice when they say, oh, you know, watching your videos gives me comfort, or it helps me on my journey. And there are some really, really nice YouTubers out there who are on Mounjaro that I feel I can relate to. I think one's called Jimmy Gemstar. I'll put her thing on screen. She just seems like sound. She seems really nice, she seems really lovely, and I can relate to a lot of what she's saying. So do I think, I wouldn't say I've necessarily sort of made new friends. Like, I don't have like a weekly Mounjaro mums club, but I do think the community that I've built here on the whole is very supportive and very sort of kind, caring, because a lot of the people who watch my videos have had similar experiences to me and been in a similar situation. In terms of, do I think established friendships have changed? No, I don't think. I think I have more confidence and I'm a brighter, happier person now, but I don't think it's negatively impacted my friendships in any way. What was your average weekly weight loss? Did you experience a stool? And if so, how did you get over it? I'll put a picture on screen, because for one of my previous videos, which again, I'll link down below, I made a little graph, let me get it up, and it showed the start of my journey. I think the first 6 months or so, what doses I was on each month and how much weight I lost each month. At the beginning, obviously, the first week, I think I lost £6, which was probably, well, it was water weight.
If you've struggled with food, especially if you've struggled with obesity and yo-yo diets, you can eat. Like, you can eat and eat and eat. And I was eating last week, like the week before I started, I was munching. Yeah, so I think a lot of the £6 that I lost in the first week is probably water weight. But, you know, I'm not counting my chickens or anything, but I'm still happy with that. And I am still pleased. Like, you know, it's a good little boost, isn't it? So obviously I'm not going to get my hopes up. I'm not going to be like, oh, this is amazing. I don't want to speak too soon, but I am pleased.
Then lost £3, then £3 the 2 following weeks, and then ever since then it was roughly about £2 a week on average. In relation to that, how fast did you move up the dosages? I don't know why that doesn't sound right. How fast did you move up in dose on Mounjaro? Well, the first month I was on 2.5 milligrams, because you need to stay on that for at least 4 weeks. I lost about £15 that month. Month 2, I moved up to 5 milligrams. Month 3, did I stay on, or did I go straight to, let me check. Yeah, so month 2, moved up to 5 milligrams. I think I lost about £8. Month 3, moved up to 7.5 milligrams. And then month 4, because on the 7.5 milligrams, I experienced at the start really bad indigestion. And I think I felt very tired, but looking back, that was probably because I was working a lot and I was getting up at 5 every day to go to the gym. Not every day, but quite frequently. And so month 4, I dropped back down to 5 milligrams in the hope, I think it was fatigue. I was like, I'm really fatigued. And I was convinced, I was like, oh, you know, that 7.5 did me dirty. But in reality, I think it was just sort of my lifestyle at that point.
I think I've done 2 shots of the 5 milligrams now. So I've still got another 2 shots left. And it's just like, I'm not going to waste the money because it costs a fortune. So I am going to take the other 2 shots of the 5. But there is a part of me that thought, like, you know, like, you kind of knew, didn't you, babe, like, in your heart of hearts, that it wasn't the 7.5 that was causing the lethargy. Either way, like, you don't know till you try. So I dropped down, it hasn't worked, I'm still knackered, and now I'm knackered and hungry. And I think next month I am going to go back up to 7.5.
So month 4, I moved back down to 5 milligrams, and then still felt knackered. And so month 5, I went back up to 7.5. And month 6, I moved up to 10 milligrams. And I need to double check. I think I stayed on 10 milligrams for quite a while, and I didn't actually go from the 12.5 to the 15. I don't know if I was already in maintenance then, or I was very close to approaching maintenance, I think. Again, I'll link the video down below, but I have a whole video showing at least the first 6 months, if not 8 months of my journey, progress pics, like pictures of every single month, what dose I was on, how much weight I lost. I even had graphs and all sorts with sort of pictures of me alongside different weights. So if you want the sort of ins and outs, I'll link that down below. Looking back from memory, I think around month 8, was it? I want to say maybe it was before then, maybe August and September. I definitely did, in 2024, I definitely did experience a stall. But to be honest, there was basically I moved for a few months to work somewhere different, and I wasn't really going to the gym as much, and I wasn't sort of watching my diet, or whatever we want to call it. So it wasn't inexplicable. I wasn't there going, I'm doing all the right things and I'm not losing weight. Like, I knew why I wasn't losing weight, and I think I just had to sort of give myself that period of time to sort of not take it as seriously, but to not put as much pressure on myself, and then slowly just built those habits back in again. I have had a few stalls on my journey, to be honest, and I honestly can't tell you the magic formula. I feel like because I've lost the weight, people sort of expect me to know how it's done, but to be honest, I don't even know how I did it half the time. So yeah, I don't really have any life-changing advice for you on that, to be honest. Unfortunately, I kind of just went with the flow, you know, rolled with the punches and just kept going, and here I am. Did you ever cry tears of happiness as you lost the weight? I don't know if I ever cried happy tears. I remember for the longest time I refused to buy new clothes, because I thought if I acknowledged the achievement, if I acknowledged the weight loss, then it would suddenly all be taken away from me. Once I did start buying new clothes, I wasn't able to stop. I don't know if you like my new jumper. I got it from a vintage store. Adidas, get in touch. But I definitely remember feeling a sense of pride. I remember feeling an overwhelming sense of pride at one point when I had sort of reached maintenance, or at least I was getting there. But I remember sort of feeling it and being like, and then kind of not wanting myself to feel it. Because like I said, if you acknowledge it, it almost becomes too real then, and then it can all be taken away from you. Because part of me still thought, you know, you've been doing this for 20 odd years, love. Like, what makes this different? Why now? Why is it going to work for you now? And so I do remember feeling, you know, realising how far I was going, and just sort of feeling, not elated, but like, it was kind of like and then thinking, oh, no, sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, there was a few very poignant points along the journey. For example, once I was on the train, and I remember I felt my shoulder, and I thought, what's that? Like, and I realised I could actually feel my shoulder, and it wasn't just a sort of pad of fat, and I don't like it, to be honest. Another time as well, like, because I sleep like this, like, not the recovery position, but like, you know, when you're like on your side, sort of need like fetal position, is it? Possibly. Maybe a cross between the recovery position and the fetal position. Anyway, and I felt my knees touch, and I thought, that's minging, that's disgusting, because I don't like it when my knees touch, it's horrible. So now, well, I've started sleep, hang on, I'll show you. My aunt got me this bad boy, because obviously drop foot gait, droppy's improving, luckily. I randomly got a drop foot and lost of sensation in my left lower leg and left foot, and I wasn't able, it was a drop foot. I've said it before, scuba diver's flipper, right? So my foot was like this, and I couldn't physically lift my foot, and I had to have physio and a splint. I'm still ongoing, and it's still not what it was. I can't remember how I got onto this. Oh yeah, so now, just in case, because I had an MRI and it didn't show the reason, they still don't know why it happened. And so one of the things is, okay, maybe my perineal nerve at the knee, maybe the nerve got trapped at the knee rather than at my spine, at the level of my spine. And so basically, as a precaution, I've started sleeping with this between my knees so that my little bony knees don't touch, even though they're not as bony as they were. And I still don't know if it was that, but because it's improving, they're like, oh yeah, no need for further investigation, which is quite frustrating, but it's the NHS, isn't it? Right, we'll do one more before we move on to Mounjaro Muppets. We'll do a few Mounjaro Muppets. We'll do one more question. I'm aware that I haven't answered all of them from the community post, but I've got a record. So I just don't want this to be really long, because people only seem to watch my videos for like 2.5 minutes anyway. It's like average view duration, 2 minutes, 21 seconds. I'm like, sound, why am I making 25-minute videos then? Plus, to be fair, like, I get it, like I don't really have an attention span, and I get people get bored. So one more question, some Muppets, and then the next video I'll answer all the community tab ones that I haven't answered in this one. Where do you see yourself 10 years from now? I think that's a really difficult one, because I'm still figuring stuff out. I still don't really know. And 10 years, like, because I used to think that I'd be like married with 3 kids by the time I was 28, with my own house and everything. That hasn't happened. It's not happened. It's nowhere near happening, if I'm honest. I mean, I talk about my bowel movements a lot. Maybe that's why I'm still single, but I'm single, don't own my own house, don't have any savings, don't have any kids, which is what it is. Yeah, so that is a difficult one, because I think it's always important to remember how far you've come and what you have achieved, and it's very easy to get lost in the sort of like, oh my god, like, you know, when everyone around you, house, husband, kids, mortgage, and I'm there like, oh my god, and it hits you, it grabs you, and then you start thinking about how many eggs you've got left and that they're dying, and you start looking around and everyone's got wedding rings on at work, like all the, I don't mean patients, obviously, I mean like fit colleagues, and you look and then you're like, oh, wedding ring. I think I'm at the stage where I'm gonna have to wait for people to get divorced. So that's difficult. I try not to think that far ahead. I'd like to think in 10 years, whatever I'm doing, I'll have a stable career, sort of be happy with my career, be happy with my achievements so far, and feel like I have achieved what I set out to achieve. I would obviously like to be in a relationship and possibly some kids and own my own house, but I don't really want to start going down that rabbit hole and panicking. So yeah, I think I want to be successful. I want to feel accomplished. I want to feel proud of myself. I want to have maintained my weight loss. I want to be financially viable, and yeah, house, husband, few kids. It won't go amiss. Now, I could dedicate a whole video, a whole series on people commenting on my hair colour, people not liking my hair colour, or rather, a lot of people seem to really take issue with the fact that I used to have blue hair. I mean, I don't know what they'd think if they'd seen all the other hair colours. I've been pink, purple, lilac, silver, dip dyed red. I'm sure there's more. They'd be horrified. If they saw that, they'd have a funny turn. But I could dedicate a whole video. But here's just some recent comments about my hair colour. Girl, your natural hair is beautiful. Don't ever do that gruesome blue hair again. I think my response to that is how I feel about it, to be honest. What I replied to the person. A lot of self-restraint. There's a lot of self-restraint, honestly, in some of my replies to these comments. Do what you have to do. Just keep up the exercise. You also lose muscle on GLP-1s. The real interesting effect is the change in hair colour from don't talk to me to natural. Now, I don't know what my hair colour is telling you right now, but I'm still okay with you not talking to me. Final Muppet before we call it a day, and this is the proof of connection between hair colour and BMI. Now, I've not heard of that one, I'm not going to lie. What is the connection? Are you able to explain it to me? Because I've not heard of it, but granted I've not gone looking. But if you can link me some PubMed articles, some references, and actually explain what you mean by that, then I'd be really grateful. That is it from me today, guys. Do not worry if I haven't answered your questions, because I've got them all. I feel like this is already going to be quite a hefty video, and if you've got any more questions, then comment them down below. I won't include people's names when I put them on screen unless you're part of my Mounjaro Muppet segment. So I hope everybody has a lovely Saturday. I've got a 13-hour shift tomorrow, so I'm hopefully going to upload this Saturday night. I mean, I'm not going to have a chance tomorrow, so if it don't go up Saturday, it's going to go up Monday. But I will see you all soon.